Today is still much unknown about the new variant. Drug regulators saying they're evaluating how current vaccines can protect against it, with one drug maker warning its vaccine could be less effective against Omicron. And the Fed chairman answers questions from senators today. He says it may be time to stop calling inflation transitory. And BMW announcing a new hybrid vehicle. What's it look like and what are experts saying about it? That and much more coming up on NTD Business. Good evening. Great to have you with us. I'm Paul Graney. U.S. drug regulators say they're assessing whether current treatments and vaccines are effective against the new Omicron COVID-19 variant. The acting commissioner of the FDA says that entails obtaining genetic information and patient samples from people who've already contracted the virus. She says that work should be done in the coming weeks. Vaccine makers say they're testing their formulas against the new strain, with Moderna's CEO warning its vaccine may not offer the same protection. Omicron has many mutations, but scientists say that doesn't necessarily make it more dangerous. The head of the South African Medical Association, where the variant was first detected, says infected patients are showing symptoms not seen with other strains like a high pulse rate, but symptoms tend to be mild. Investors and businesses, though, are likely worried about the threat of new lockdowns. President Biden says lockdowns are not on the table right now, but the United States and countries in Europe and Asia are already implementing new travel restrictions. That could hurt airlines, with Emirates and EasyJet today warning of the risk to travel demand. NTD's Fake Quarter reports.
The world's airlines are bracing for a fresh impact from the Omicron variant. On Tuesday, the strongest warning came from Mideast carrier Emirates. Company president Tim Clark warned that any hit to seasonal travel will be devastating for an industry already hit by 2 years of heavy losses.
I would say probably by the end of December, we'll have a much clearer position. But in that time, December is a very important month for the air travel business. And if that is lost, or the winter is lost to a lot of carriers, there will be significant traumas in the business, certainly the aviation business and the periphery of that.
UK budget airline EasyJet says it's already seeing a drop-off in demand. It says resurgent health worries, including Omicron, have prompted people to rethink plans for city breaks, though it says the impact isn't yet as bad as during earlier lockdowns. The latest warnings come after multiple countries, including the US, UK, Japan, and Israel, imposed travel curbs in response to the new virus variant. Fake Quarter, NTD News.
But even before Omicron, many Americans didn't feel too optimistic about the economy. Consumer confidence dipping to a 9-month low in November, according to the Conference Board, with expectations around income and business and job conditions also falling. Rising prices and the Delta variant were the main worries on people's minds in November. And the board also said fewer Americans plan to buy homes, cars, and major appliances over the next half year. That would be a blow to the recovering economy. Consumer spending accounts for 2/3 of GDP. And the Federal Reserve chairman says it may be time to stop saying inflation is temporary or transitory. The Fed has insisted since last year that high inflation would not be a lasting feature of the economy. But after persistently high levels of rising prices, it seems the Fed is ready to face the possibility that inflation will stay higher for longer. Here's Chairman Jerome Powell at a Senate hearing today after a senator asked him about his transitory description.
We tend to use it to mean that it won't leave a permanent mark in the form of higher inflation. I think it's probably a good time to retire that word and try to explain more clearly what we mean.
While the Fed largely blames supply chain problems for rising prices, many economists predicted at the beginning of the pandemic that money printing by the government in the form of deficit spending and by the Fed in the form of asset purchases would lead to the price inflation we're seeing. And it appears the Fed agrees that's a possibility, even if it won't admit it. The chairman today saying the Fed may end its asset purchasing program sooner than expected.
We now look at an economy that's very strong and inflationary pressures that are high, and that means it's appropriate, I think, for us to discuss at our next meeting, which is in a couple of weeks, whether it will be appropriate to wrap up our purchases a few months earlier.
Many have credited the Federal Reserve's asset purchases and other loose money policies for the stock market's performance over the past 18 months. The Dow was up 80% from its March 2020 lows, but Powell's comments on tapering back those purchases faster didn't seem to sit well with the market today. Wall Street's main indexes closed lower. The Dow fell 652 points, nearly 2%. S&P 500 lost 88 points, also nearly 2%. The Nasdaq lost 245 points today, about 1.5%. And Congress is racing to avert a government shutdown. And it has other items on its to-do list before Christmas, too. NTD's Jessica Beatty explains.
Congress is sprinting to deliver some must-have packages by Christmas. It must pass a stopgap bill this week to avert a government shutdown this weekend. The government's only funded through Friday night. Another item is the debt ceiling. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen recently telling lawmakers they should try to raise it by December 15th. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer trying to get these out of the way so they can move on to President Biden's spending agenda and pass that by Christmas.
Once this necessary work is completed with the parliamentarian, I will bring the President's Build Back Better legislation to the floor so we can pass it as soon as possible.
Another item is the annual defense bill. It sets policy for the Pentagon for certain things like soldier salaries and how many rifles and ships it should buy. Senate Republicans and some liberal Democrats blocked it from advancing Monday night. Both sides trading barbs before the vote.
We hope that Republican dysfunction will not be a roadblock to passing this bill and taking care of our troops and their families.
Republicans saying Schumer didn't give enough floor debate and votes on their amendments before trying to move toward final passage of the bill.
Madam President, nothing less than the safety of the American people is at stake. This is more important than political timetables.
The vote fell short of the 60 votes needed to advance it, with a handful of liberal Democrats and Bernie Sanders also voting no because of the hefty $770 billion price tag. They argue the military budget shouldn't be so large when key issues like healthcare and education are not being adequately addressed. Republican Senator John Cornyn says he expects the blocked vote to lead to a fresh agreement between the parties. He thinks they could finish it this week if there's more time for amendments. Jessica Beatty, NTD News.
And in today's business news, Twitter is expanding its privacy policy. Now you aren't allowed to post images of people without their consent. Until now, the rule only banned sharing of personal information like phone numbers or addresses, or threatening to share it. But Twitter says it's worried personal media like photos or videos are being used to harass people. If you're a Twitter user, you'll still be able to post content, but if someone in the content complains, Twitter may take it down. And Softbank is investing $150 million in Zepeto. It's a Metaverse platform. And that's not the only company that's attracted to the platform. Brands like Gucci and pop stars like Selena Gomez are also jumping on. So NTD's Evelyn Lee spoke to experts to find out what makes Zepeto so special.
Softbank is investing $150 million in Zepeto, a metaverse platform by Naver. 70% of its users are female, and it's currently centered on high fashion for the avatars. But what potential does Softbank see in this metaverse platform? Clark Boyd is the head of strategy at Kadira, and he says Zepeto left an impression on him as well.
I must admit, I was cynical going into this one, but it's the one that I've enjoyed the most. So I have tried lots of games and I've been playing Fortnite for clients and so on, just to see where's the commercial opportunity and that sort of thing. This one, because of that interactivity and because it gives a platform to create something of your own, I think that's a massive plus point.
He says Zepeto functions as its own social network. Well, you can also create stories like on Instagram. Zepeto goes a step further. You can even create your own commercial and star in it. And many don't realize they're doing brand messaging. On top of that, brand clothing is sold much cheaper. Gucci sneakers, for example, are available for around $8, but it doesn't end at only wearing the sneakers.
I can also adapt them, and then I would imagine, given that I can appear in a Hyundai commercial and sell it on there, why wouldn't I become a Nike reseller? And that is really addictive for people as well. It becomes its own little self-sustaining economy in there.
And Boyd says the boundary between the physical and digital world is disappearing, so people want to put their best foot forward. That creates more willingness to splurge on avatars. And top luxury brands like Gucci, Dior, and Ralph Lauren are also entering the metaverse market.
It's no small purchase, it's no small play, but it's not a risky one either. They are making a very strategic position and partnership in a company and a platform that I think is guaranteed to continue to be a leader in the space for the next several years.
Amir Bozorgzadeh says this is a trend that will definitely be here to stay. While Asia is a forerunner, he says US will follow on this. Evelyn Lee, NTD News.
And the UK competition watchdog has ordered Facebook owner Meta to sell Giphy. It's an animated images platform, or GIFs. It's Britain's first such move against big tech in its efforts to regulate the sector. The regulators said it found last year's acquisition of Giphy would reduce competition between social media platforms in display advertising. It said its decision protects millions of social media users and promotes competition, which just last year Facebook bought Giphy for a reported $400 million. Company seeks to integrate the animated image-making power of Giphy with its Instagram photo sharing app. Meta said it could appeal the decision, and it has about 4 weeks to decide. And amid the electric car frenzy, BMW has announced its new vehicle, a hybrid. The BMW XM uses both a gas and electric engine. NTD's Faye Corder spoke to two battery experts to get their thoughts.
BMW has unveiled its new car. The BMW XM. The vehicle has 750 horsepower and 737 foot-pounds of torque, all on a hybrid engine.
It's a step in the right direction, right? But at the end of the day, you still have two engines. You're still incurring that maintenance. Overall, it's a more expensive vehicle to make. But it's a step in the right direction, right? One by one, the holdouts are falling and people are going electric, and you have to.
Trent Mell is the CEO of Electra Battery Materials. Mell sees a furious level of activity in boardrooms to onshore the EV supply chain to America in preparation for a full EV future.
We've seen a number of high-profile announcements on assembly plants and on battery plants, but there's everything else, right? You got to get the material out of the ground, you got to process it, refine it, you got to produce it into a cathode active material, and so there is a bit of a race to get your hands on that raw material.
Rahul Harkawat is the founder of Quantum Copper. Harkawat also sees the push to go full electric.
I'm not sure if the hybrid is, a step to a full electric car. Or are they testing the waters? And with the hybrid solution, it's a little bit confusing for me to see.
BMW previously said it wants at least half of its cars to be all electric by 2030. Faye Corder, NTD News.
And Elon Musk's SpaceX is currently developing its next rocket. It's called Starship. He's doing it in Texas. But it seems things are not going well. Musk warning that the company could face a genuine risk of bankruptcy if it fails to solve a rocket engine problem. NTD's Colin Fredrickson has the details.
This area is used for the engine components.
SpaceX founder and CEO Elon Musk is reportedly concerned about a lack of progress on the company's next rocket engine. Tech blog Space Explored published part of a company-wide email where Musk mentioned its rocket, Starship's Raptor production crisis, is much worse than it had seemed a few weeks ago. The email mentioned the recent leadership shakeup. CNBC reports that 2 vice presidents have parted with the company, citing sources. One is reportedly Vice President of Propulsion Will Heltsley. Another is Vice President of Mission and Launch Operations Lee Rosen. According to CNBC, the main reason they quit is a lack of progress on Raptor engine development. In the email, Musk said, "We face a genuine risk of bankruptcy if we can't achieve a Starship flight rate of at least once every 2 weeks next year."
3, 2, 1, ignition.
Starship plays a key role in SpaceX's future missions. Earlier this month, Musk said that SpaceX will hopefully launch the first Starship orbital flight in January or February. But the rocket prototypes will need about 39 Raptor engines each. That means SpaceX will have to resolve its engine issues before Starship can take anyone anywhere. Colin Frederickson, NTD News.
And in Asia, casinos in Macau are feeling the chill of a Chinese regime crackdown. Shares at a top Macau gambling company took a steep dive today after police arrested its CEO and 10 others over the weekend. Shares dropped as much as 40% during the day. Sun City Group CEO Alvin Chow is the subject of an arrest warrant in mainland China, where gambling is illegal. He and others have also been accused of money laundering. They allegedly used the world's largest gambling hub to run an illegal live web betting platform in the Philippines, and that attracted mainland Chinese. Some experts suggest this signals a new era for gambling in Macau, with Beijing no longer tolerating any promotion of activity on the mainland. News of the arrests already spooked investors, sending down shares of major casinos in the city. Sun City Group says Chow intends to resign from his position. And still to come this evening. Experts are warning about hackers and scammers online during the holiday shopping season. We have some tips on how you can protect yourself. And tourism in Florida is back and booming, but concerns about the new Omicron variant may once again disrupt plans. That and much more coming up on NTD Business.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell. Cancel culture has not only affected myself and MyPillow, but millions of you out there. Before all this started, I had already written in my memoir, I dedicate this book to anyone that's looking for hope. Well, right now, we're all looking for hope. I believe that my story is going to bring inspiration and hope to everyone. By the time you're done reading my book, you will believe that with God, all things are possible. To thank you all for your support, I'm offering some of my best prices ever on MyPillow products, including this exclusive bundle. You get my book and these 5 MyPillows. They all have beautiful scenes and verses from the Bible, such as Isaiah 41:10. Do not fear, for I am with you. This 6-pack bundle is regularly $219. Now it's just $99.98 and free shipping with your promo code. Go to mypillow.com and use the promo code on your screen or call the 1-800 number below. Thank you and God bless.
The performance was enchanting.
I feel better about the world. I feel uplifted. It touches you. It really does.
The expertise of the dancers was really, really strong.
To know that it was live music was really fantastic.
We didn't want to miss this.
Make sure you see it.
Have to come. Life-changing.
Coming to West Palm Beach, Fort Lauderdale, and Miami, November 8th through January 9th.
There are 16 million children struggling with hunger in America. That's 1 in 5 daughters, sons, neighbors, and classmates who don't know where their next meal is coming from. Yet billions of pounds of good food go to waste every year. It's time we do something about it. Feeding America is a nationwide network of food banks that helps provide meals to millions of kids and families in need. Visit feedingamerica.org to help them feed even more. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're feeding America.
Welcome back. It's a battle of the athletic brands. Popular fitness brand Lululemon is suing Peloton over copycat products. The company launched its private label in September called Peloton Apparel. Now Lululemon is seeking triple damages for what it calls willful infringement of 6 design patents. The company says the copies are of 5 women's bra and legging products. It says the 6th product is a copy of its popular Align pants. All this started with a threat. Lululemon sent a letter to Peloton threatening to take legal action if they didn't stop selling the knockoffs. And 5 days before Lululemon filed in Los Angeles federal court, Peloton sought a declaration that the claims had no merit. It said Lululemon's designs are not special enough to have patent protection. We'll keep you updated. And with millions of people shopping online this week, security experts are reminding you to keep your guard up. Scammers and hackers are also browsing online, with some possibly using the ongoing supply chain issues to take advantage to try and steal money and private information. Here are 3 things you should do to avoid being a victim.
Beware before you click buy. With a record number of people continuing their online holiday shopping this week, experts say stay alert.
We get international scammers that are tapping into the U.S. market by looking for products that they know are in high demand and pretending to offer those just to get people's credit card information.
According to a survey from the National Retail Federation, 62.8 million people were expected to shop on Cyber Monday alone. That massive online demand, along with the ongoing supply chain crisis, has some shoppers concerned about availability. And online security expert Douglas Parisi says that desperation may leave holiday shoppers vulnerable against scammers and hackers.
The major carriers don't have the products, and so people start to look to third-party vendors, people that claim that they have several of these, and that should be a red flag. Is if somebody has something available that is very difficult to find. If they're not charging an exorbitant price, they're probably just scamming you.
Here's what he recommends you keep in mind to protect your money and personal data while you shop online. Number 1, shop only from trustworthy retailers with secure websites. 2, set up a separate email for online shopping only. And finally, use a credit card instead of a debit card for increased protection against any shady charges.
And 2 more quick tips for increased online security. Keep your antivirus software up to date and have a different password for each online retailer and change it every year. A lot of work, but worth it. And Miami was one of the top search destinations on several travel websites as the tourism industry started to rebound from the pandemic. But concerns about the new Omicron variant may once again disrupt travelers' plans. NTD's Andrew Thomas reports.
Until news of a new variant, Florida had remained fairly immune to a downturn in tourists. Republican Governor Ron DeSantis' pro-business and anti-lockdown policies throughout the year allowed one of the state's main industries to flourish, even as tourism dipped in other parts of the United States.
Ultimately, it's about our people and our places, and that's what truly gives Miami that tropical yet cosmopolitan feel. And it's, whether it's South Beach or South Dade, whether it's downtown Miami, Wynwood, we've really grown up as a city.
Miami and Florida typically have an even mix of domestic and international tourism. While much of the country was shut down, several new hotels opened in Miami, and airlines including Southwest and JetBlue added Miami routes for the first time.
We are blessed geographically with being this gateway to the world, whether it's folks coming up from South America and throughout Latin America to Europe. Our airport is now become the busiest airport for international passengers. Ironically, during the pandemic, we added a lot of new routes, so the accessibility is critical.
Statewide, Florida had 32.5 million travelers from July to September of this year, exceeding the number of visitors in 2019. But as cases of Omicron are confirmed around the world, there is fear of yet another extension of the pandemic. Andrew Thomas, NTD News.
What used to be a CCP virus hotspot, Brazil is slowly rebounding, hoping to celebrate Christmas and Carnival during the holiday season. But now with the new variant, how are locals reacting? NTD's Phil Zhou has the story.
Brazil has registered over 600,000 CCP virus deaths, with over 22 million confirmed cases as of Monday. but around 80% of the population already got at least one dose of the vaccine.
We are taking a series of measures, and this is a blessed country. I hope that we can have a peaceful Christmas, New Year, and Carnival.
Beachgoers in Brazil's Rio de Janeiro are hoping the worst of the pandemic is behind them. But now there are new concerns with the Omicron variant.
Of course, if the situation gets worse, I think the government could take measures like closing the borders to some countries. But I think that's inevitable given what's happening at this moment of the pandemic.
The Brazilian government said last week it's shutting down its borders to travelers coming from 6 southern African countries. Phil Zhou, NTD News.
That's the latest business updates for today, but you can still catch NTD Evening News with Stephanie at Cox. That's at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. For NTD Business, it's all for today. Thank you for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks for watching us on YouTube. Did you know YouTube only keeps selective videos on its platform? So if you want to make sure you get the full picture, just subscribe to our newsletter. Go to newsletter.ntd.com and sign up. It's free.